Someone's planting payback for old Mother Nature. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy. The Dark Knight battles his greatest threats yet, cold-hearted Mr. Freeze, venomous Poison Ivy, and the unstoppable brute known only as Bane. Batman finds himself at odds with his crime-fighting comrade Robin, no longer satisfied with the role as a sidekick. As Mr. Freeze threatens to unleash a new ice age upon the citizens of Gotham City, the dynamic duo, now joined by the heroic newcomer Batgirl, must learn to work as a team before Gotham City is put on ice. As I'm about to measure to the top of Pamela Isley's head, am I the only one that finds it a bit of a plot problem that somebody loves plants so much would then team up with somebody who wants everything in an everlasting winter wonderland? I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. Pamela Isley, though, or Poison Ivy, if you will, is a figure that stands 7 inches in height, or she's going to be about 18 centimeters tall. And while we don't have a cold comrade built yet, we did have a look at Batman earlier, so let's bring the figure in now and show you guys the differences between the two. Now, Batman is a little bit shorter than Poison Ivy, but if you count really the points on the top of his cowl, of course you probably should, then it does make the figure slightly taller than Poison Ivy that we're about to have a look at. For right now, at least, Freeze's is in pieces. First, the figure comes included with the torso and the lower trunks from Mr. Freeze, bringing only the ones that we had to work with so far. We got the lower legs from Batman. Let's go ahead and detach the legs. Now, we'll have to probably fix the trunks. You can see they're using a softer plastic for at least the trunks, but we can at least take Mr. Freeze's legs, plug them properly in place. And this is what we have to work with right now. I mean, with only just adding the head alone, I mean, it will give us about a figure, well, it's going to be about that high. Then, of course, we're going to also get ourselves the shoulder pads. That's going to come include with the head for Batgirl. We've made a little progress. Still feel, I don't know, I just feel like Mr. Freeze could have been the 5th figure, and we could have had actually, like Bane. Bane being the Build-A-Figure would have made a little bit more sense, if you at least ask me. The figure also comes included with a display stand. This only marks the 2 other things that the figure comes included with, display stand and a trading card. Once again, no accessories anywhere to be found. The figure comes, first of all, with, like I said, the display stand. Still has DC logo printed down below. Still has tapping away there, the top peg that can plug into either one of Ivy's feet. And then the figure also, lastly, comes included with a trading card. The trading card, as I mentioned already, is basically a poster puzzle piece. If we were to say take Batman, we could line it up. That's basically what the poster would look like. And then, of course, Robin. I think Robin is what, like Robin's right here. Robin's maybe in the middle. I don't remember. But, yeah, you can basically see. We could put together a puzzle if we really wanted to. It's just part of the poster that we get for Pamela Isley's head. Poison Ivy, I'm sure. I mean, I wouldn't want anything else to take a screen grab from the movie. I mean, like, what good of a screen grab could they have really used? I think, honestly, the poster picture of her makes a little bit more sense. On the back, though, her real name is Pamela Isley, and a good substantial read-up. Although, unfortunately, with the read-ups, they're using the exact same one. So if you've already read the one for Batman, you pretty much just then have practice to read this one again. By the time we get to Batgirl, you could probably read this without even looking at the cards. I'm not that good. Going to put these cards, though, to the side, and like I said, the figure doesn't come included with anything in the way of accessories. She sort of does tease with something that looks to be a gripping hand, and yet, unfortunately, the figure doesn't come included with anything. What she does, though, come included with, though, is bearing a very strong likeness to Uma Thurman, who could some say would be one of the more cringeworthy aspects of Batman and Robin. I know, where do we pick what was the most cringeworthy? I don't think she really wasn't a bad casting for Poison Ivy, but once again, sort of in the way like George Clooney, I think she was just given really, really bad lines to read. If not for that, I think actually she worked well for the character, just though a little more over the top. Poison Ivy generally is just a character that has vines, and then she has, of course, the more famous red hair. This hair comes across more like an orange, and then she's got these very large, almost Vulcan-like eyepieces that go over top. I would imagine they're supposed to be a mask. I don't think this is something that's just naturally growing out of her face, but she has sort of these weird things that stick out and jet out the front of her face. I guess it's a way just to give her a little bit more of a unique look to her. She's got some vines, little ivy pieces there on the top there as well. I mean, it's a really nice looking likeness. If anything could be said, strangely choosing, though, Batman and Robin for being the first, well, we did also get, of course, the Nolan trilogy, so I guess this would be the second movie tying verse. Strange that they would have then chose Batman and Robin, and not like, say, for example, Batman and Robin, or even just Batman Returns. Batman Returns would be the one I'm the most interested to see. Imagine like a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman or a Danny DeVito Penguin of this size and the quality that McFarlane is doing with their toys. Like, there's really a lot of good stuff going on here with Poison Ivy, whether you really like the character or not. The leaves have been nicely painted here. My guess is they probably would have been a darker green, and they would have just brushed across, in only some select places, a lighter green to add over top of it. Of course, she does have the lighter green sleeves. She does have sort of that mist handpiece that she sort of blows off to the audience. And through, I guess, the pheromones, everybody is just allured by the entrapments of Poison Ivy. It only works also as well. I mean, obviously, she starts to kiss people, too. I mean, you have to wear yourself a pair of wax lips. Isn't that how Robin beats Poison Ivy? She kisses Robin, and Robin just peels off these. Is that enough? Is that all we really need? Just wax lips? On the other hand, though, like I said, though, she does have rings on her fingers, but she has a gripping hand that looks like specifically it's designed for something. I don't know if it would have been, say, a flower. It's certainly small enough that I feel like it was specifically designed this way, that it was supposed to hold something unique. And yet the figure, from what I'm looking at, I'm checking around on the tray as well, there's nothing that came with the figure from what I can see, and there was no compartment space for anything with the figure either. As for certainly the lower legs, I really like the darker coloring that they've added. Mostly starting here again with the lighter green, but they've kind of brushed on or airbrushed this really nice dark green. I know some people have gone online and they've shown off images that they've customized their figure, adding a little more darker contrast, a little more of a wash of paint to it. But I feel like the figure at least feels complete. Batman, my biggest problem really with the Batman, which I'll bring back in right now. Batman looked really good, but I feel like he was lacking some of those blue highlights that Batman would have both in the media promotional artwork and then also again in the movie, where he just would have had a little more blue coloring, not just the stark black that we get here. Poison Ivy does feel finished. I don't think there's a part where I'm really looking at the figure and I'm thinking to myself, man, they really missed and dropped the ball by not painting this aspect. Everything like from down to her little nails, down to like the little rings that she has also there as well. I mean, everything on the figure feels finished. And that's the best part of getting a figure like this, is that you don't really feel like I'm looking at this and thinking to myself, yeah, they really needed to go back and do something else to it. It's nice sculpting down below there for her boots also as well. The strange thing about her boots is that they kind of go right into her leggings. So it's hard to kind of gauge where. I'm guessing she just would have had then high heels. And then this would be just part of her tights that would have blended then into the green. One thing I also really like about the figure is the footprint space they've given her. Generally, characters with high heels, for example, you got a very small high heel at the back. And then this part usually is then cut in. So you don't have as much footprint space. You can see what they ended up doing is they've allotted a spot not only for the peg, but they've also given a little more space on the back. It may not be more movie accurate, but at least it gives her enough footprint so she's not going to have a balancing issue when you're putting her on the shelf. Now for the figure's articulation, head sculpt's going to be on a ball joint. The hair itself is a softer plastic, but even then it's going to cause a little more problems when it comes to rotating the hair back and forth or the head back and forth. Head looks up and looks down, and of course you can rock it back and forth as well. As for the actual shoulders, because even though she has the longer locks, at least one thing about them is they don't get in the way when it comes to rotating her shoulders. You can easily bring them out at 90 degrees. You can bring them forward and back. The only thing I will say, though, about getting the figure immediately out of the packaging, you don't probably maybe able to notice that in the video, but her arms are really loose. Not loose to the point where they're going to drop and droop down, but I did notice they're a little looser than, say, the legs. The figure does have a swivel in the bicep. One thing I really like about the swiveling is that they concealed it underneath the sleeve. So there's no really way to see that there's a hinge joint or a swivel hinge joint there. They've nicely done a way of hiding it underneath the sleeve. The figure does also have a double hinge on the elbow. The hands do rotate also all the way around. And then when it comes to Poison Ivy's upper body, she has an upper torso ball joint, and then she has a lower torso ball joint. But again, to look at it, the leaves do a nice job of sort of hiding and masking the points that are posable. So really, there's a joint right there. But I mean, to look at it, it does, other than obviously if you look at it from the side, you probably notice a little bit more. But looking at it from the front, it gives a really nice seamless look to the sculpting. Of course, the legs do split out. They're on ratcheted joints once again. You can take the legs and move forward, move them back. She has a swivel at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee. And while she doesn't possess any articulation here, there's no boot cut or anything like that. Mostly all the articulation is centered down by her ankles. So, of course, you can move them back and forth, rock them back and forth this way. And the figure does have toe articulation as well. Now, we've only looked at 2 figures of the 4. I mean, the ones we still have to look at is Robin. Again, the real reason why I did want to look at, instead of Robin, looking at Poison Ivy next was just because, again, like Poison Ivy had the torso piece. I had to feel like I was making some progress. And with Robin, I think Robin actually gets the arms. If I can get her, you know what, get her to stand. Let's get her on the display stand. considering that Robin only really comes with the arms, I mean, what little progress would we have made when it came to displaying Mr. Freeze? At least as it is right now, bring back in Batman, at least as it is right now, we've got this to work with. Not much yet, but at least we would have made better, well, we've made more better progress than we would have actually when we would have had a look at just Robin alone. Again, we're going to get the arms for Robin. The head and the shoulder pads are also going to come include with Batgirl. Of course, right now, we'll just move that out of the way. You know, one thing I will say, though, whether you like the movie or not, Batman and Robin is one of those Batman movies. It's always like the last one, even if it's on TV. Even if it's on TV, usually a Batman movie, if it's on and I happen to flip to it, I'll watch it. I'll watch whatever's left of it. Batman and Robin, though, is one that I just turn off. The moment I see it, wherever it is in the movie, even if it's an action scene, I usually just, I don't know, I just turn it off. It's not one I'm at all really interested in. I like the characters in it. The idea of bringing finally in Poison Ivy, the idea of finally bringing Mr. Freeze, and again, the idea of actually bringing in a Bane, all were really good on paper. Not well executed at all, though. I will say, though, one thing, while the movie wasn't well executed, the figures themselves look fantastic. I think both of them look like the characters themselves. George Clooney, of course, for Batman, and then, of course, you've got Uma Thurman. Whether you like Uma Thurman really as Poison Ivy or not, you know, again, it looks just like her in figure form. While Ivy may have succeeded in seducing the citizens of Gotham City, unfortunately the movie did not seduce the critics into loving the film. Unfortunately, Batman and Robin still continues to be considered the worst of the Bat franchise. Not until, of course, we got ourselves the reboot with what we got with the Nolan trilogy. Pretty much Batman was dead in the water, and it all can be chalked up to what ended up happening with Batman and Robin. Whatever you may feel about the actual casting of characters, like I did say with George Clooney, I didn't mind at all Uma Thurman. I just didn't like the way that she was portrayed as Poison Ivy in the movie. A lot of it could just be the way of terrible writing, some of the script choices, and of course the costuming didn't also work either as well. The fact that Bane was sitting inside of a big monkey suit. Speaking of suits, though, in Poison Ivy, we did get this one, but I'm wondering if maybe we're also going to be getting the other Poison Ivy that has her in the green jumpsuit, sort of those horned hair pieces that she has, and instead of having the Vulcan eye mask in green, she had it sort of more in a peach color. Maybe we might very well get that figure, because I would imagine it'd just be a case of tooling this one a little bit more, releasing that as a gold label edition, or hey, you never know, we might get a second wave. If we do get a second wave, then I would hope that what I would hope would still be on the table is the idea at least giving us a Bane. Whatever your feelings may be about Bane, if we are going to be getting at least Batman and Robin figures, I would hope to think at least that McFarlane at some point will release either a second wave of these figures, or maybe release like a gold label edition Poison Ivy that has the green jumpsuit, and maybe not in release, maybe on its own, a mega-sized Bane. I'll definitely pick that one up as well, whether I think the Bane in that movie was just terrible or not. I like the look of it. At least it's a classic, somewhat classic comic book looking Bane. What do you guys think, though, of Poison Ivy? Let me know down below in the comments section if you have been at all collecting and the new Batman and Robin figures courtesy of the folks over at McFarlane Toys, or when it certainly comes to Batman and Robin, where would you rank it when it comes to the Batman movies? Let me know down below in the comments section. In the meantime, though, if you guys did enjoy this video, want to hit with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you're taking tally, we are still going to be looking at Robin, and we're also going to be looking at Batgirl, probably in that order, I think, because Robin's going to come include with the arms, Batgirl's going to come include with the head and the shoulders, and I think through that we'll complete finally the cold-hearted Mr. Freeze. And of course his review will be right around the corner as well. Of course, making sure you hit that subscribe button down below is the crucial thing. Equally important as well is that you're turning on the bell notification, and I suppose one of the other important things too, making sure you're coming back here on a regular basis. Of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.